Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Pacific Northwest, where mist-shrouded forests, rugged coastlines, and historic towns harbor secrets too dark to remain buried. In this 17th episode of Most Haunted Places in Oregon, we delve deeper into the shadowy landscapes that define the Beaver State, a land steeped in Native American legends, pioneer struggles, and modern-day mysteries. From abandoned asylums to eerie lighthouses, Oregon is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in sorrow, betrayal, and unrelenting despair. Oregon's haunted places are more than just locations. They're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time, battles fought on hallowed ground, unspeakable crimes cloaked in secrecy, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied whispers. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across Oregon, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted mansions, explore eerie swamps cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of Oregon, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Shanghai Tunnels, Portland's underground nightmare. Beneath the bustling streets of Portland lies a labyrinthine network of tunnels known as the Shanghai Tunnels, a dark and sinister underworld that once served as the backbone of illicit activities during the city's early days. Built in the mid-19th century, these subterranean passageways were initially constructed to transport goods between warehouses and docks along the Willamette River. However, they soon became infamous for their role in the practice of Shanghaiing, a brutal scheme involving the kidnapping of unsuspecting men to serve as sailors aboard merchant ships. Over time, the tunnels evolved into dens of crime, housing opium dens, gambling halls, and brothels, all hidden from prying eyes above ground. One of the most harrowing tales tied to the Shanghai Tunnels involves the ghost of Molly, a young woman forced into prostitution after being kidnapped and sold into servitude. Historical accounts suggest that Molly endured years of abuse before attempting to escape through the tunnels. Tragically, she was caught and murdered by her captors, her body left to rot in the damp, rat-infested corridors. Visitors exploring the tunnels today report hearing faint cries and moans echoing through the narrow passageways, accompanied by the sound of dragging footsteps. Some claim to see a pale figure crouching in the shadows, her wide eyes filled with terror. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though Molly's spirit lingers, unable to find peace. Another prominent legend revolves around the ghost of Captain Jack, a ruthless Shanghaier who ruled the tunnels with an iron fist during the late 1800s. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Stay down," and, "You're mine now." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure clad in a tattered coat pacing anxiously near trapdoors, his silhouette illuminated by flickering lantern light before vanishing without explanation. Some speculate that Captain Jack remains tethered to the tunnels due to guilt over perpetuating systemic abuses, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain control even in death. The tunnel's basements, once used for storage and makeshift cells, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of chains rattling, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless acts of violence, and despair inflicted upon its vulnerable victims. Modern-day investigations into the Shanghai Tunnels' supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the basements and the main passageways. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique equipment believed to have been used in illegal operations. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't breathe." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Shanghai Tunnels continue to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to explore the underground maze, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Shanghai Tunnels promise an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Piddock Mansion, elegance entangled with the supernatural perched atop a hill overlooking Portland. The Piddock Mansion stands as a monument to both luxury and despair, a grand French Renaissance-style estate whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy and supernatural activity. Built in 1914 by Henry Piddock, a wealthy newspaper magnate, the mansion quickly became a symbol of sophistication and exclusivity. With its sweeping staircases, crystal chandeliers, and meticulously manicured gardens, the home epitomized elegance and refinement. Yet beneath its polished exterior lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, heartbreak, and untimely deaths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Piddock Mansion revolves around room 203, said to be haunted by the spirit of Georgiana Piddock, Henry's wife. According to local lore, Georgiana fell gravely ill shortly after moving into the mansion and spent her final days confined to the room. Her ghost is said to haunt the space, manifesting as a wailing voice heard late at night. Visitors exploring the mansion report hearing faint sobs emanating from empty rooms, accompanied by the sound of chains rattling. Some claim to see a pale figure darting through the shadows, her movements jerky and unnatural. Others describe feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness, as though Georgiana's despair permeates the very walls. Another prominent figure in the mansion's haunted lore is believed to be Henry Piddock himself, whose stern demeanor earned him a reputation as a demanding patriarch. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Control her," and "She deserves discipline." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure clad in a black suit standing motionless in doorways, his silhouette illuminated by moonlight before vanishing without explanation. Some speculate that Henry remains tethered to the mansion due to guilt over perpetuating systemic abuses, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain control even in death. The mansion's basement, once used for storage and servant quarters, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a volunteer who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless acts of violence and despair inflicted upon its vulnerable residents. Modern-day investigations into the Piddock Mansion's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the basement and room 203. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture believed to have belonged to the original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't breathe." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Piddock Mansion continues to draw thrill-seekers and historians alike. For those brave enough to explore the ruins, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, The Piddock Mansion promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Heceta Head Lighthouse, guardians of the coast perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, the Heceta Head Lighthouse stands as one of Oregon's most iconic landmarks, and one of its most haunted. Built in 1894, the lighthouse has guided countless ships safely to shore, its beacon cutting through the thick coastal fog. Yet beneath its picturesque charm lies a darker history steeped in tragedy, isolation, and spectral encounters. Known as the most haunted lighthouse in America, Heceta Head is home to a mysterious presence affectionately dubbed Rue, a ghostly figure believed to be the spirit of a former keeper's wife. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Heceta Head involves Rue herself, whose ethereal form has been spotted by visitors and staff alike. Described as a kind but melancholic woman, Rue is said to wander the lighthouse grounds, tidying up rooms and ensuring everything remains in order. Guests staying overnight in the adjacent keeper's house frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, curtains fluttering despite closed windows, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets neatly folded at the foot of the bed, as if Rue had paid them a visit. Another prominent figure in the lighthouse's haunted lore is believed to be Captain Benner, a former keeper who met a tragic end. Historical records indicate that Captain Benner disappeared under mysterious circumstances during a violent storm in the early 20th century. His ghost is said to haunt the lantern room, manifesting as a flickering light visible from miles away. Visitors exploring the lighthouse report hearing faint footsteps ascending the spiral staircase, accompanied by the sound of heavy breathing. Some claim to see a shadowy figure peering out of the lantern room window, his expression frozen in eternal vigilance. The lighthouse's surrounding woods, thick with underbrush and towering trees, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Hikers walking along the trails often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out names unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the voices of sailors lost at sea. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in period clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, standing silently amidst the graves. Paranormal investigators exploring Heceta Head have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the lantern room and the keeper's house. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint of the staircase before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Heceta Head continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of safety and guidance. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Heceta Head offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into obscurity. The Wolf Creek Inn, a ghostly grandeur in southern Oregon nestled in the serene countryside of Merlin, Oregon, the Wolf Creek Inn stands as a relic of the Old West. A charming yet foreboding establishment that has hosted travelers, outlaws, and pioneers since its construction in 1883. Originally built as a stagecoach stop, the inn quickly became a hub for weary travelers seeking refuge along the rugged roads connecting California to Oregon. Its weathered wooden facade, creaking floorboards, and rustic charm evoke a sense of nostalgia, yet beneath its quaint exterior lies a darker narrative, one marked by murder, betrayal, and untimely death. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Wolf Creek Inn revolves around Room 6, said to be haunted by the spirit of a jilted lover named Sarah. According to local lore, Sarah checked into the inn in the late 1800s under the pretense of meeting her fiancé, only to discover he had abandoned her for another woman. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in Room 6 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of roses lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the inn's haunted lore is believed to be James McGinnis, a notorious outlaw who frequented the property during its heyday. Paranormal investigators exploring the inn have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "retreat," and "hold the line." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure resembling McGinnis pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a revolver before vanishing without a trace. The inn's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Wolf Creek Inn frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the inn's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty cowboy uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Wolf Creek Inn remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Sarah, James McGinnis, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the inn's tragic tale. Patterns across Oregon's haunted places, themes of suffering and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of Oregon, from the opulent halls of the Pittock Mansion to the somber cliffs of Husetta Head Lighthouse. Striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of tuberculosis sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of psychiatric institutions, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or failing that, to ease our passing. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears, the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through Oregon's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of Oregon's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.